We're now entering the world of making presentations to our prospective clients. We'll go into depth on utilizing the principles of the strategic consultative sales presentation. Approaching the customer with adaptive selling information here involves presentation of objectives, presentations that add value, and identifying ways to add value after the sale. This is probably the one section that'll take up specific methods to plan for and win the sale. It involves a trio of prescriptions in the sales strategy. We'll cover a two-part pre-approach process, and then we'll study team presentations and strategies. Then there's applying adaptive selling techniques to 4 strategic areas of personal selling. We'll look at how to approach a customer. And finally, we'll go into depth on 7 ways to convert a prospect's attention and to arouse sales interest. So let's begin with the 3 prescriptions for the sales presentation strategy. Now, the presentation strategy involves preparation, and then more preparation. There's the development of the pre-sale objectives, the pre-sale presentation plan, and then presenting how to provide after-the-sale customer service. You need to collect as much advance information as possible about the prospect's needs. Then the plan has to be devised with an eye to building or sustaining a relationship with the person or the team who will actually make the buy or the decision. In adding value here, you put yourself in the position of being a resource. The advice and the ideas you have to offer and how working with you is the best choice for meeting the prospect's needs. The first call should have an action objective. That is something you want the prospect to do during the presentation. Now, obviously, it would be nice to come out of the first meeting with an order, but since that may and probably won't happen, well, look at getting a follow-up appointment, some trial use of the product, or even a visit to the prospect's plant or place of operation. Selling today is becoming more and more complex with experts or technical people at various stages. Now, these people can come together into a team to make a presentation. It takes lots of advanced planning, practice, and even rehearsals to make the best presentation on the prospect. There are cases when your selling team may be making the presentation not just to an individual, but also to a buying team. So make all of the members of that buying team feel involved, but make sure you do identify and play to the most powerful and influential members. In adaptive selling, there are 4 strategic areas of personal selling. The idea is you may have to use a different approach with different people to win them over to your side. You can be dealing with people whose types are supportive, emotive, reflective, or directive. There's the relationship strategy. Now think of this as building the partnership, because the customer wants a quality product and a quality relationship. Make sure you pay attention to the small details and avoid anything that will cast you in a negative light on that first meeting. There's the product strategy. Review the advantages that your product has for the prospect, particularly those that will appeal to him, her, or the group. And after this, review your customer strategy. Now, this is where your continued adaptive selling can be applied to the situation as the sales effort moves ahead. In developing your presentation plan, there are 6 steps. The approach, to look for the way to make the most favorable first impression and develop the greatest amount of interest and support for your product. The presentation, be as confident and convincing as possible. The demonstration, don't tell me, show me. Get the prospect involved. Negotiation, look for areas of compromise or added service that can reduce buyer resistance. The close, look for clues that indicate when the customer appears ready to act, and then ask for the order. Finally, there's servicing the sale, and the contact you have after the sale may be the most important of all in the order to ensure future business. Keep the customer happy. There's also the importance of understanding the prospect's buying process, how things work with that person's firm or even that person's personal preferences for a sale. And we now get into the approach. This is the initial contact with your prospect. Build your rapport, get the person's full attention, and don't start until that person is actually paying attention. Finally, get to the need discovery part of the presentation. Through the approach phase, establish your credibility, plan what you're going to say, identify yourself and your company, and explain why you're calling. Respect the prospect's time to even say how long the appointment should take, and above all, be polite. When you set an appointment, confirm it with an email, a brief note, or even a letter. Social contact is extremely important in selling presentations. Again, prepare by knowing the topics of interest to your client. Initiate social contact. Maybe an open-ended question such as, "Hey, I understand you had a great shot on the golf course last weekend." Respond to the customer's conversations verbally and non-verbally, and let the customer know that you're listening. Above all, keep the social contact focused on the customer. Now remember, small talk is never unimportant talk. To develop social contact, take advantage of the here and now observations. Maybe a local sports team's latest win, maybe some item in the news, but not too controversial. Look for common ground, like maybe commenting on a picture or a trophy in the prospect's office. Compliments always go over well, as long as they're sincere. People like to talk about their achievements. There's also the search for mutual acquaintances or interests. This can be a real icebreaker and even a way to open up a good relationship start. So once you've completed all of the preliminaries up to this point, we get into converting the prospect's attention and arousing interest. There are a number of approaches here. There's the agenda approach. After the small talk, you might want to outline what you hope to cover and accomplish in the meeting. The product demonstration approach. Now this goes a long way in developing customer involvement. The referral approach. Quite often it works to your advantage to have a mutual acquaintance tell your client about you and open the door so you can get in that way. There's also the customer benefit approach, to immediately get the prospect's attention by explaining the benefit of buying your product. Opening with a question can also get the prospect's involvement quickly. Questionnaires, free samples, also help in opening the way to further and deeper discussions. Customers often appreciate it when you're trying to learn more about their situations and challenges. And a free sample can be an excellent way to demonstrate the product and create a desire for it. Now, how often have you heard about people who are afraid of success? Well, this happens often in the sales field. There's a certain shyness about approaching a prospect, and this is called sales call reluctance. Maybe the fear of taking risks, fear of making a presentation, a lack of self-confidence, fear of rejection, and maybe all of these. Well, there are some ways of dealing with this. First, be optimistic about the outcome of that first meeting. The appearance of optimism goes a long way toward instilling confidence in you and your product. Practice, practice, and then practice some more on your approach. Work out all of the stumbles and you'll have more confidence in yourself. Don't worry about being nervous, it's natural. And one other avenue in making that initial contact, play to the gatekeeper, the receptionist, or the prospect's assistant. Getting on the good side of these people goes a long way toward your chances of getting in for that meeting. Learn their names, treat them with respect. Using the names of others the prospect already knows can also help in getting past the gatekeeper and to the decision maker. And if you've already met with a prospect, you may want to let the gatekeeper know why another meeting might be beneficial. Well, now that we've gone into depth on approaching the customer with adaptive selling, we'll next take up the actual consultative sales presentation.